Daytime with Aston Avery. Stephen Smith joins me, and joining us right now to highlight Pride Month and also throughout the years, Gateway 97.8 celebrates Pride Month as well. Peter Tatchell joins us right now. He is a human rights activist. So, Peter, welcome to Gateway.
Very glad to join you.
And it's great to have you on, I have to say, Peter. And obviously, I mentioned right at the beginning, it is Pride Month here. But why is Pride so important at this stage?
Well, it's very important to celebrate the love, life, and culture of the LGBT plus community, because for many centuries we were persecuted and victimized. Even today, there are still big issues, like about a third of all LGBT plus people have been victims of hate crime. And in our schools, nearly half of all LGBT plus pupils have been bullied because of their sexuality or their gender identity. So there are issues we still have to fight for. And we just want to make sure that people understand that we are everywhere. We are everywhere, and we are here, we're queer, and we love each other, care for each other, and we want equal rights and respect.
And also the fact that that little boy or girl sitting at home who's got no hope, who's frightened, and sees Pride, and it gives them hope, doesn't it?
Absolutely, absolutely. And it's a joyful, celebratory occasion. You know, it's lots of straight people come and join in at Pride or stand by and watch on the street because it's really a fun day out. It's colorful, enjoyable, exciting, and it's lots and lots of fun.
Yeah, my friends that identify as straight fight to come with me to Pride. They can't wait. But listen, Peter, it's really interesting. I was in Chennai, India, about 5 years ago, and we're driving along, and the driver was there. One of the girls with us that was working with me said, "Where's the gay area?" And the driver said, "What gay area? There's no such thing in Chennai. Maybe up north somewhere there's a few." And now I see there's a film that you're part of, Legendary Children, all of them queer, making its debut in Mumbai, India. How did this come about? Can you tell us about the film?
Well, the film was made by Rob Falconer, a British filmmaker. It tells the story of the 50th anniversary of the first ever Pride parade in Britain, which took place on the 1st of July, 1972. I and most of the other people in the film were part of that original Pride parade. And so it tells the story of then and now. It tells the story of how and why we began that first Pride parade, how difficult it was, the often very hostile public reaction we got, but how, nevertheless, we were determined. And over the years, Pride grew from just about 700 people on that first Pride parade in 1972 to now probably close to 2 million people at more than 180 different Pride events around the UK this year.
So that also alongside it here, there, Peter, obviously, the sad thing is, in some countries, it is illegal to be what they say homosexual. And then sadly as well, there are death penalties for just loving the same sex in certain countries as well, which is sad to see this there. But especially as we're celebrating Pride Month here, is there anything that we can do about this right here in this country, for the most part, an accepting country here?
Well, you're right. Even today, there are still 66 countries that criminalize same-sex relations, and about half of them criminalize both male and female homosexuality. You're also right that 11 Muslim majority countries still have the death penalty. Countries like Saudi Arabia, Iran, Mauritania, and so on. These are countries where you can actually be put to death for being LGBT. And then there are 43 countries where either through explicit laws or the application of generic laws that trans people are criminalized. So we have a lot more to do on the global scale. And that is why my foundation, the Peter Tatchell Foundation, in London Pride on the 1st of July this year, we will be marching in solidarity with Ugandan LGBT plus people. I think many of you know that just recently a new, very draconian anti-gay law has been imposed, which includes the death penalty for gay people in certain circumstances. And even merely advocating LGBT plus rights can now attract a prison sentence of 20 years behind bars.
Mm. Mm.
Absolutely dreadful. But what can we do here? I mean, people hear the information, but what can people at home do to help?
Well, the first thing is to amplify the stories, about what's happening in Uganda, Iran, Russia, and many other countries. Tell that story through your social media. Speak out about it to inform your friends and families and workmates. But also think about supporting an LGBT plus organization that is working to support people in countries like Uganda. They need our support right now. Uganda is a very poor country, and the LGBT plus movement is very badly underfunded. So that story, it applies to dozens and dozens of countries across the world. Right now in Cameroon, in Africa, a neighboring, not far from Uganda, the government there is now planning to ban all media that produce any programming with any LGBT plus content. They've just closed down all the gay-friendly venues in the capital, Yaoundé, and as a routine matter of fact, which has been going on for years, LGBT plus people are subject to extreme violence, and the police deny them protection. So there's a number of LGBT plus political prisoners in Cameroon. So supporting organizations that help those political prisoners, that's another great thing that you can do. If you go to the website 76crimes.com, you can find out more about the situation in Cameroon.
Great. We'll put that on the YouTube video when it goes out. I've got to go back to the film again. So it's like it was. You're quite right. The early gay pride was certainly isn't what we have today. They're dodging stones, many of them. Go right on the line there. But how did you manage to get the film to go into India? I mean, it isn't huge LGBT over there, is it?
Well, of course, India is making great strides. Not only did a few years ago it decriminalize homosexuality under a law that was originally imposed by Britain when Britain was the colonial power. Now they are pushing for new legislation to enact equal marriage. So marriage equality for LGBT plus people is on the cards. There's a case before the Supreme Court in India, and the expectation is that it's quite possible the Supreme Court will rule in favor of same-sex marriage. So that's very exciting. And what is also interesting is that 53% of the Indian public support the right of same-sex couples to marry. 53%. Many people would not expect that, but attitudes are changing in India. And the fact that this film, Legendary Children, all of them queer, has been selected for the Mumbai International Queer Film Festival, I think is indicative of the process of change that's going on in that country.
So, and there's another factor as well here, Pete. So obviously there's been a lot to what they call around the sports scene as well, especially with the World Cup that took place last year as well, in like places like Qatar. You got Dubai and other countries where it is sadly illegal to be gay. And one school of thought is if you don't go there and make the difference, what should someone like a celebrity or someone like a big name do here?
Well, certainly these countries in the Middle East have cottoned on to the idea of using sport and entertainment as a way to, burnish their liberal credentials, to get into the international community and try and find acceptance as just another normal member of the international community. So, of course, they're trying to get and are succeeding in getting some very big name stars to go there to perform as athletes or as entertainers. And that is really helping to, give that regime in that country or those countries, it's helping to give them credibility. We need to boycott those countries, not just because of LGBT plus persecution, but also the appalling way in which women are treated, where women are deemed to be second, third, and fourth class citizens. where there is honor killing of women and LGBTs. And of course, the way in which they exploit migrant labor, mostly from South Asia, which works in those countries for a pittance. They're often not even paid the miserly wage they're supposed to be. They're often denied the right to change jobs, to escape abusive employers.
Yes.
And in many instances, they have to work, 12, 20, or even 30 days without a break. I mean, it's appalling, absolutely appalling.
And Peter, you see that in Dubai. I mean, all looks like a pretty picture. But if you just lift the layer, you'll see that people go missing off those large buildings, and they just send money to the families in India, or some don't, to cover it up. And people forget that when they go there, that actually goes on in this day and age, which is frightening. Listen, we've got Pride coming up. What preparations have you got in place for it?
Sorry, say it again.
So we have Pride coming up July the 1st. What preparations have you made for it? What are you going to be doing?
Well, as I said, we're going to be highlighting the new anti-gay law in Uganda. So our theme is solidarity with Ugandan LGBTs, and we'll be marching with about 40 Ugandan LGBT plus people who fled their country to escape imprisonment, torture, and mob violence. So we're going to be amplifying their voices so they are heard, and to remind the Ugandan government that the world is watching, and that what they are doing is not only in violation of the United Nations Universal Declaration of Human Rights, it's also against Article 21 of Uganda's own constitution, which guarantees equal treatment, and against the Commonwealth Charter, which likewise has clauses prohibiting discrimination. And Uganda has signed that charter as a member of the Commonwealth and pledged to uphold it. But clearly it is not, because this new law is all about discrimination and persecution, which is incompatible with the Commonwealth Charter.
Yeah, absolutely. So, as Peter, as a big worry is the trans debate. I'm just not talking about heterosexuals. I'm talking about the gay community. Lots of people say homophobic attacks have increased because of the trans community. We're getting problems with it. Do you see a bigger split happening among the LGBT community because of the trans issue?
No, not at all. We know from the surveys that the overwhelming majority of LGBT plus people believe that lesbians, gays, bisexuals, and transgenders should stand together united, opposing all prejudice. Prejudice against discrimination based on sexual orientation is wrong.
Yeah.
So is discrimination and prejudice based on gender identity. We need to stand together. We are all in different ways gender non-conformists. Lesbian, gay, and bisexual people don't conform to traditional ideas about what it is to be a man or a woman, nor do trans people. And that gender non-conformism gives us a common theme, a common interest in working together to support each other.
Yeah,
what's happening to trans people today is what was done to lesbian, gay, and bisexual people 2, 3, and 4 decades ago. So we've been through it. We know what it's like. That's why we're standing with our trans siblings.
Obviously, the documentaries you do as well, especially with the work you do, we see documentaries on your films there, Peter. Is there anything you do that besides working on documentaries for films, like for fun, for instance?
What do you do for fun? Yeah.
Well, since you raised that, I mean, I just highlight the fact that right now there's a Netflix documentary streaming about my 56 years of human rights and LGBT activism. It's called Hating Peter Tatchell. It's on Netflix.
Great.
And I made this film in order to show people that social change is possible. That when we organize together, when we work together, when we campaign, we can make change. So I hope people will be inspired by that film, as indeed by the film Legendary Children, which is, as you know, premiering at the Mumbai Queer International.
When will we be able to see it in the UK?
I think they're looking for a distributor now, so fingers crossed that it'll be screenable here in the not too distant future. But back to your question, I don't have much time to relax. You know, I'm so busy with so many campaigns in this country and abroad, and most of the work that I do abroad is about supporting and amplifying the voices of activists in other countries. That is so important, and they value it so much. So that's why I said originally, you know, for your listeners, you know, if you can't do anything else, just amplify what's happening to LGBT plus people in other countries around the world. Let people know, because they will really appreciate that, to know that people in Britain understand and empathize with their freedom struggle.
Enough to say, is there anywhere listeners can find out more about getting involved here, and happy Pride as well on that front as well?
Yes, by all means, go to my foundation website. It's petertatchellfoundation.org. There you'll see a resume of our campaigns and work. But in the top right-hand corner, there's a little button which says Join Us. And if you give us your email address, we will send you a weekly bulletin about a range of LGBT plus and other human rights issues. It's totally free. There's no charge. Most of these stories are very serious, but we always try and put in a quirky, funny one as well to give you a laugh.
And that'll be available on the YouTube page as well when it goes out. And thank you so much for coming on. It was an honour.
Thank you, Peter.
Happy Pride.
Well, happy Pride to you, and good luck with the work you do, because it's together that we make the change. Thank you.
Thank you,
Thanks,
Peter.
Peter. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.